I thought I should introduce myself to you too. And the day the State of Israel came into being, I did not yet come into being, my father understood that the politics that he was affiliated with were very, very important in his view to create the State of Israel, but were not the politics that he wanted to see lead the country that could then become a Western, fully integrated democracy for all of its people. And so my own family history shows this odd trans-political transformation, and I grew up with those values. I grew up with security and social justice, not at odds with each other, but linked together. I then spent 20 years, after some other things, I spent 20 years, as Ann mentioned, directing a Jewish Community Federation, and was part of marginalizing the issue of Israel's Arab citizens along with the rest of the mainstream Jewish community in the United States. I want to say that to upset you a little bit. And I'll tell you how we did that, and it wasn't because, as Federation directors, we got up in the morning and said, let's ignore this issue and focus on other things. It's because the American Jewish community was engaged for 60 and continues to be engaged for 63 years in upbuilding the Jewish homeland, in bringing exiles of the Jewish diaspora, in all of that work, in building universities and roads and hospitals and all of that stuff that is right stuff and important stuff. And what we didn't fully appreciate along the way is that all of that Jewish philanthropy going to primarily Jewish causes in Israel in a certain way widened the social gaps. I would call that an unintended consequence of American Jewish philanthropy. There's no intentionality behind that in an important way. But one of the things you do when you build up one part of society and don't pay attention to another is create change in realities and gaps in society. And when I had the opportunity almost 10 years ago now to come and lead the Abraham Fund, for me, it was an opportunity to spend the next phase of my career working on that part of society that I had left behind in the last 20. And so for me, it's a privilege and honor to work in this field and to work with people like Amal and Shuli. And Amal, you have a story. Tell us, introduce yourself to us and Shuli, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for taking your time and coming here to actually listening to the challenges that we are facing back in Israel, and also the hopes that we create by our projects and our working in our daily life back in Israel. I look at you now and I see no Arabs, and I feel like I'm the only Arab maybe here. Hi, thank you. Because I feel it's a very, heavy expectation that I am going to represent the Arab minority inside Israel, and it's for the organizers for the next year. I would really appreciate that we will have more Arabs here to tell the story and to participate in such a great conference on Arab issue that we all really concerned about it. I didn't choose to be an activist, as it wasn't an accident. It wasn't, when I get to the age 20, going to the university, wants to adapt, a kind of a human rights issue or a feminist issue. I was born in such an atmosphere that imposed on me to be an activist. From the first day of my life, I was born as a fifth girl in my family, which is a tragedy for my parents because they wanted to have a boy and not a girl. And to be born in such an atmosphere that you know how it's hard to relocate yourself in the center as a girl and to feel what's the meaning of inequality, injustice, and unfairness. And together with that, when I was 5 years old and I was born in one of the unrecognized villages, Lakia, knowing that I live in a situation where there's no electricity, no water, no services, no roads, walking to the school 3 kilometers in dirt roads, you can imagine it during the summer, you can imagine it during the winter, and being, very aware of the two challenges in my life. One is being a woman in a patriarchal society, trying to fight the system and to relocate herself and voice out that I am entitled to equal rights and equal opportunities. And from the other hand, I am a citizen of the state of Israel, and I belong to a national minority. I am not immigrant into Israel, I was there and demanding the equal rights and demanding equal opportunities and demanding recognition to my village. These are the two heavy challenges that I, since the age 5 years old, and believe me, 5 years old, I have been going through this in a way that I decided not to play the role of the victim, not as a girl in a patriarchal society, and not as an Arab citizen of the State of Israel. I decided that it is not only um, a responsibility of the majority, it's also my own responsibility. Because when you point the others, still three fingers towards yourself, what I do to change my own situation. And I'm here to say to you that the Arab Palestinian minority inside Israel are part of the solution and not anymore part of the problem. And we all have to see it this way. Thank you.
Shuli, who is this guy?
How personal you want me to go?
Use your usual good judgment.
Thanks. I was born and raised on a kibbutz. I'm a member of a kibbutz until now. And unlike Amal, I chose to be a civic activist. For me, it's a matter of choice. I could choose another word. I could choose another way, and this is my choice. I may be able to explain it later. I'm not sure. I was born and raised to be the master of the land of Israel, not myself, but as part of the Jewish majority in the state of Israel. We, together with all the group of children in my age group on the kibbutz, and all the children on the kibbutz, we were brought up to be the masters of the land without, I'm not sure it was said to us explicitly, but later on, when I started to be partnered with Arab citizens, I noticed that I act like a master. I wasn't aware of this much of the time. I was already a teacher and even a former, in a short period, a school principal of the small local school of the kibbutz, that I was sent as a shaliach. Shaliach is a representative, or there's even another word for this, emissary, but this is too much. A representative for the kibbutz movement and the Jewish agency to Toronto, Canada. It was only there when I started to really understand what is the notion of citizenship. I was already an educator, I was already a school principal, and I didn't really understand what citizenship means. It was only in Canada that I understood that citizenship means that all the citizens are equal. Now, it does not mean that until then I did not engage with Arab citizens in Israel. I did, intensively. This is the story of my life. All my life I'm being engaged with Arab citizens on an activity and encounters and meetings and working together, but not as a citizen, as a Jew, as a master of the land. But only in Canada I understood that this is another base of relations between the peoples. When I came back, it took me a couple of years to understand that citizenship can be obtained and in a way reclaimed by myself as a Jew in Israel only in partnership with Arabs. And partnership means equal partnership. And then start my hard life. Until then, it was very easy, one should say. Then I understood that this is not a picnic, and in order to be a real citizen in the state of Israel, I have to change the mode of my attitude towards life. And this is, we don't have the time to describe this, but I started with school education of children and encounters between Jewish and Arab school children. After a while, after a few years, I thought that this is not enough. And I had the debate with Ami about this for long years. And I thought that advocacy should be the path to go and change the policy, the discriminatory policy of the government. So based on that partnership, based on that recognition of the equality that should be there between Jewish and Arab citizens, I have accepted the position of co-director of Sikui. Sikui is an organization that works to advance policy of equality between Jewish and Arab citizens. We have presented the government the state of discrimination on a constant basis. It took time until we reached the data that was presented here. It's still not even half the way to where we should be. But for 10 years, as a co-director of Sikui, I was working on changing the policy of the Israeli government. When I stepped down, when I concluded my time with Sikui, I had the opportunity to serve as a consultant directly to Prime Minister's office with Minister Braverman. And we have put together the plan, the economical plan, the plan for economical inclusion of the Arab citizens of Israel. I have to tell you, this resolution was passed in March 2010 and counts 1.1 billion shekels for 5 years on economic inclusion and to encourage employment-oriented higher education. However, I'm done.
Introducing yourself.
That's me. However, I have to tell you that this is only the preview. The master plan was not written yet. It is only the beginning. And I adore the presentation of the consulate here. And I appreciate very much, at times, 10 years ago, even the consulate wouldn't show this picture. But the other ministries of the Israeli government have a long way to go until we reach the real master plan of inclusion of the Arab citizens in the state of Israel.
Thank you.
I'm a proud